Welcome to today's Explainer. If you've been looking at global temperature maps lately, you've probably noticed something, well, honestly pretty alarming happening across the Atlantic. The whole continent of Europe is just glowing with these bright red and purple heat signatures. So it really begs a very simple question. Why on earth is Europe cooking? And the urgency of that question really boils down to one single shocking number: 2. Right now, Europe is warming 2 times faster than the global average. Just let that sink in for a second. We're not talking about a random seasonal heat wave here. We are looking at a geographic anomaly where an entire continent is literally outpacing the rest of the planet's warming by double. So, what is actually going on here? Why is Europe experiencing this crazy 2x heat anomaly? Well, the answer isn't just a vague wave of global warming. No. The specific culprit behind this anomaly is a warped atmospheric jet stream. You can kind of think of the jet stream as this massive atmospheric engine that drives the continent's weather. And right now, that engine is completely broken. It's essentially acting like an invisible meteorological weapon, driving all this intense heat straight down onto Europe. So let's actually look closely at this broken engine and how exactly the atmosphere goes about trapping all this heat. We hear the phrase heat dome thrown around in the news all the time, but the actual mechanics behind it are fascinating. Basically, a heat dome is a giant, high-pressure lid that traps and compresses scorching air, driving those temperatures to absolutely record-breaking levels. I want you to literally picture a massive, invisible, glowing orange lid placed right over the European continent. It doesn't just casually hold the air in place, it actively pushes down on it. It compresses it, making it hotter and hotter and hotter. Okay, so here's how this builds step by step up in the atmosphere. First, like we just said, that atmospheric engine breaks down. Specifically, the jet stream actually splits right over Europe. Second, in that big gap left behind by the split jet stream, our giant high-pressure lid forms. And third, and guys, this is the crucial part that really turns the dial all the way up, that split jet stream drags in scorching desert air straight from North Africa. It pulls all that searing Saharan air northward, traps it right under our high-pressure lid, and just compresses it. It's literally a perfect, terrible storm of meteorological events. Now let's dive into the impact zone to see exactly where this heat is hitting the hardest across the map. Tracing this path of destruction across the map, we can see exactly who is bearing the brunt of this. You've got dark red filling up Western Europe, with places like Spain and France facing intense, completely record-breaking heat. Then, moving across to Central Europe, countries like Germany and Italy are getting hammered by extreme compressed temperature spikes from that high-pressure lid pushing down. And looking further south toward the Mediterranean and the Balkans, the primary impact is severe drought. I mean, quite literally drying up critical rivers. The whole continent is feeling it for sure, but these specific zones, they are absolutely roasting. And that brings us to the stakes, because this warped jet stream is setting off some truly catastrophic domino effects. It really forces us to ask a pretty dark question. What is the worst that could happen? I'm just going to let that hang there for a second. Because when a continent warms twice as fast as the rest of the planet, we are definitely not just talking about uncomfortably hot beach days. We are looking directly at some true worst-case scenarios. Here are the terrifying domino effects detailed by the data. First up, those severe droughts in the Mediterranean can easily escalate into megadroughts, which leads to total crop yield collapse. And obviously, that threatens the entire food supply chain. Second, all that dry, compressed heat, it acts as an immediate trigger for massive, uncontrollable wildfires that absolutely devastate land safety. But the final one is wild. Power grid blackouts. Why? Well, because those drying rivers we talked about aren't just for farming. They actually provide the essential cooling water for nuclear and hydropower plants. If the rivers dry up, the plants can't cool down, and the grid completely cripples. Literally everything is interconnected here. So we really have to face the new normal and the extreme summers that lie ahead. Because the long-term forecast is stark. According to the research, without drastic emission cuts, this broken atmospheric engine won't just be a weird anomaly anymore. These extreme summers, the split jet stream, the heat dome, the trapped Saharan air, the massive threats to crops and power grids, all of that will simply become the baseline. It's poised to just be the new normal. We've covered the mechanics, the geography, and the pretty high-stakes future of Europe's extreme heat. But now I want to turn it over to you. How hot is it where you are right now? Are you actually feeling the effects of shifting jet streams and heat domes in your own daily life? Drop into the comments and let us know your local temperature and what you're experiencing. It is always so fascinating to see how these massive meteorological data points connect directly to your own backyards. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep staying